Now to Gaza, which has the highest number of child amputees per capita in the world. United Nations says many even have to undergo surgery without anesthesia. Leaving Gaza is almost impossible, but some do manage to get medical treatment abroad. Our correspondent, Fanny Fashar, met one Palestinian child being treated in Romania.
7-year-old Sham's father checks her scars every day.
How is your foot now?
It hurts.
Doesn't it hurt a little or a lot?
A lot.
Husni Said Altawil is not a medic. He's just a worried dad. Sham and her family stayed in several places in Gaza before they finally got out 2 months ago and came to Bucharest.
The children are suffering psychologically. Since the war, they're so scared. They don't even want to go to the toilet alone. I have to be with them all the time.
An Israeli airstrike did this to their home a year ago, Husni says. They survived, but 52 members of their extended family in the neighborhood were killed.
We had just started eating when suddenly we found ourselves in another world. The explosion was really strong and loud, and all the dust and the ceiling collapsed on us.
Sham suffered severe injuries. The medical care available in Gaza was not enough, and her wounds deteriorated. It got so bad that Sham was allowed to leave. Her siblings and father could go too, but their mother had to stay behind. Husni says Israel wouldn't give her permission. Here in Romania, medics are trying to make up for lost time. Orthopedic doctor Ioan Fodor removed pieces of shrapnel from her leg, something he says should have been done right away.
The risk is, if there's an infection, it won't heal properly, and that would mean another operation, and you'd have to remove pieces of bone. If the infection spreads and the bone deteriorates again, the risk is we won't be able to do any more.
The worst case scenario, he tells me, would be amputation of Sham's leg. Husni says he wants to remain positive, but that being on his own and the uncertainty make things overwhelming.
It's really hard for me to take care of my children properly, and I really hope that their mother can come from Gaza. Then they would feel life is good again, feel safe, and be psychologically stable.
They are all desperate to hear her voice, to know she is okay.
Your mum's not answering. She doesn't have internet.
But try again.
She is not answering.
He tells the children their mother's silence is because of power cuts. But he doesn't really know why she didn't answer. Their days in Bucharest are dominated by her absence. They miss her and worry about her. The last time they spoke, she told them it was cold in Gaza and the wind had blown parts of her tent away.
Well, we did ask Israeli authorities why they'd refused to allow Sham's mother to leave Gaza with her family. They told us that for security reasons, it was decided that she should be accompanied by her father and siblings only. Well, Alexandra Saieh is head of Humanitarian Policy and Advocacy at Save the Children International. Welcome to DW. Is it usual for Israeli authorities to allow children to leave Gaza for treatment?
We need to be very clear that the number of children who have been allowed to leave Gaza, as approved by the Israeli authorities, to seek medical treatment outside is very little. These are exceptions to the rule. They are not the rule. There are at least 15,000 people in Gaza right now who have registered requests to seek medical evacuations abroad, and the majority of them have not been allowed to leave. Many of these are children. So every single day in Gaza, there are children and others who are dying of treatable illnesses. They are dying of malnutrition, of disease, of dehydration. And this is a direct result of the decimation of civilian infrastructure, the decimation of the hospital system, and the government of Israel's siege, which has not allowed sufficient medical supplies, food, and other supplies that people need to survive.
And what sort of reasons are given for these refusals?
The reasons that are often given are exactly what you just read out loud on the program. It's often going back to justifications around security concerns. But the reality is that there are thousands of people who are desperately in need of medical treatment just to survive.
Right.
Most of Gaza now is uninhabitable. It is not fit for human survival. People are not getting enough to eat. People do not have access to clean water. There are no hospitals in Gaza that are fully functioning. There are children who are losing their limbs. Doctors having to do amputations without anesthetics because of rising infections. The situation in Gaza is absolutely catastrophic. And, the case that we just saw on air, this is one case, but there are thousands of others who are not being allowed to leave and who are facing what are nightmare conditions in Gaza.
Okay. Israeli authorities have in the past indicated, as far as they are concerned, sufficient aid is being allowed into their territory. But, setting that to one side, this is a conflict involving leaders on both sides for whom the International Court of Justice has issued arrest warrants. And, of course, Hamas has been deemed a terror organisation by the EU, the US and others. How difficult does that make your job when you are trying to negotiate permissions to operate?
Save the Children has been on the ground in Gaza for decades. We are working with local partners. We know the community, and we see what's happening on the ground every single day. This has been one of the most challenging crises for us to navigate. Every day we face challenges in getting permission from the Israeli authorities to get items into Gaza. The safety of aid workers has also been a massive concern. More than 337 humanitarian aid workers have been killed since last October. The majority of them are Palestinian. This is the most dangerous crisis in the world to be an aid worker. There are risks that are being taken because because we need to deliver, we need to try to deliver. But the reality is that we're not able to reach everyone in need. If you look at the situation in northern Gaza, the majority of the population has been cut off from humanitarian assistance, from adequate food, from medical supplies. We're seeing continued attacks on hospitals. It's just an absolutely catastrophic situation overall.
Okay, well, thank you for outlining that so clearly for us. Alexandra Saieh from Save the Children.
Thank you for having me.